take.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to NFL Live. It's 2019 Week 2. Today it's me, Sage, along with Danger, Neo,
What's up, guys?
and Dean.
Hey, what up, fam?
Yep, it's 2 dogs and 2 men. Let's get the show on the road.
Goddamn right.
Hell yeah.
Opening question is, who's your pick to win the Super Bowl this year? We'll start off with Danger.
All right, I'm actually going to go with a team that looks good the first 2 weeks. Maybe not against the best of competitions, but they've been impressive the last couple of years, and that is the New York Giants. Maybe an underrated pick, but their defense has been playing incredible. R.J. Stanford hasn't been blowing out the world, but he's a quarterback who can get it done. O.J. Carano's the same way, but their defense is what's going to carry them. They have a great offensive line, too. They've been an efficient team.
All right, the Giants for Danger. Let's go to Dean. Who's your pick?
I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Rams. They're just a team that's been solid for like several years now, and I just think it's about their time to actually get there and win it. I know they've been close. I don't think they've won it yet, right? Yeah, no, they haven't. I think they lost it 2 years ago, I want to say. And Daryl Murphy's still been near MVP, if not MVP. That's a great debate to have. But, you know, the Rams are just a really solid built team. I think they'll be close to the Super Bowl again, and I think they'll win it this year.
Okay, Danger with the Giants, Dean with the Rams, Neo, who's you got?
Well, I'm going to pick another R team. I'm going with the Raiders as my Super Bowl pick. There's about a million reasons to do it. As we saw last week, games are won in the fourth quarter. Nick Hall, fourth quarter monster. Dude's freaking unstuck that receiving core he's got. Their running game is questionable, but I have a hard time seeing Oakland not getting a bye this year and having a pretty decent advantage in the playoffs.
Okay, so we got the Giants, the Rams, the Raiders, and since it's the second week of the season, I'm going with the Detroit Lions, preseason Super Bowl favorites 10 years running.
Lions, please!
Come on, Fibber Loins. I don't think their current Lions team is as good as the one last year, but the Rob LeCount injury really hurt them in 2018. LeCount stays healthy. They lose Faneca, but that's not too big a loss. I think the meat and bones of this Lions team has always been E. Jackson, Keyshawn, and now Andre Brooks. So second week, it's going to be Detroit Lions running the table 19-0 as is tradition. Now to the shout box if anyone has any quick questions. I saw one earlier from Jumbo. Why does Ryan Clark suddenly suck balls? Does anyone have any theories?
I can answer that one. What's been going on is since Art's new coach, I just wanted to let him try out some new stuff, and it wasn't what we had been running successfully. And that's probably the main reason why he hasn't been very good this year. But we're probably going to get back to that soon. So,
Yeah.
Here's another one for that. It's been like a week and a half. Like, everybody chill, all right? I know the fashion is for everybody to overreact to like crazy, but goddamn, like, come on, bros. Yeah. Let's let it play out, all right?
It's the headlines that sell the papers, not your rational thought. Get out of here.
I will say, too, Ryan Clark is a really good quarterback, but he's not the type that can just kind of come in and take over in any offense. Yeah. He does need help from his surrounding surrounding cast. And this week, Ty Miller had 2 catches for 25 yards, and you can't be getting that out of your top production.
Well, Dactor, Well, nobody picked Tampa, but I am, in fact, in Tampa doing this remotely, so Tampa has that going.
Also,
Tampa's really dependent on
So
Tampa has to be really dependent on whoever comes in and takes them over.
I would've
Yeah,
picked
so,
Tampa to win
guys,
significantly.
Over under on how long it'll take Tampa to pick up a new head coach slash owner slash general manager.
I'm gonna go 2 days.
Yeah, it'll be this week. Before the next set of games.
Yeah,
Or
before the
Thursday.
next game, someone will jump in.
So wait, let's clarify that. When you say before the next set of games, do you mean like before the 4 o'clock games
No.
today, or before next week?
Before
Okay,
week
all right,
3.
okay,
Or Thursday night
Okay.
football. There will be a new coach in Tampa.
okay, all right.
All right, here's another good question. With this week's loss to Pittsburgh Steelers, head coach Rabbit Snowman has released a press conference saying that Paul Davenport will be starting in week 3. AFC bros, what's your thoughts on that? We'll start with Danger.
This is a long time coming. I mean, I've thought for a while that Rob Corp really wasn't the answer. Like, Rob Corp has played better than most people expected him to, but Davenport has a lot more potential as a quarterback. He's shown at least in college that he can be great. In his preseason, he was good. Hell, he started over Corp at Miami. I mean, if you're questioning the coaching of the Miami coaches there, which have been a lot, but yeah, I think Davenport's the better quarterback. I think he's going to be good this season until the Steelers draft Brett Fisher.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know their tradition of Miami quarterbacks. They've all got to go to Pittsburgh.
Brett Fisher, Pittsburgh Steeler.
So it's shut. Is it now? It was hashtag corporate takeover. Is it now hashtag corporate shutdown? Hashtag buyout. What are we going with now? Personally, I'm a fan of buyout.
That is Paul Davenport's junior season when everyone was hyping up him to be a potential number 1 overall pick. It was a fall short for Davenport.
Davenport had been getting hype since 2013 when he was like a true freshman at Miami behind Ontario Smith, and he was just redshirting. Like, people have been hyping him up for a while.
He was like a 5 out of 5 Redshman or something absurd. Like he was a 5 out of 5 for so long.
Yeah, he had so much hype.
All right.
I didn't understand that much of
Miami's
the
always
hype, but
ridiculously good scrambling quarterbacks.
Yeah.
that's true.
Hey,
Yeah, it makes sense.
really attracts-
South Florida, man, that's the kind of talent they have. Okay, so we've got some more questions. I don't know if you wanna. Which ones you wanna go with?
Sleuths. NFL Live. Who finishes second in the AFC East, and what will their record be?
It's gonna be the Dolphins, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be
I'm picking the Dolphins.
I think it'll be the Jets.
No, get out of here.
I think the Dolphins win it.
No, the Dolphins do not win the division. They're down.
I don't think it. I
Down.
But
think the Dolphins.
If Brown stays healthy,
I would go to.
I think the Jets win the division and the Dolphins get second, but it'll be close. This Titans team is good. I don't rate them badly or anything. It's not like Miami played badly either today. They only lost by a hair, but they only beat New England by a hair. I think Miami has too much talent to not get second.
I don't think they're
So
good enough.
okay. While we're in the AFC East, how stunning would it be if say Kamau Davis gets hot and Jacksonville comes out of nowhere, stuns a few teams in the East? Do you think there's a chance? Sorry, the South. Do you think there's a chance that Jacksonville could challenge for a wild card spot this year?
No.
No. Jacksonville's had a good first 2 weeks, but in a division with the Colts and Titans, who I feel can handle a team like Jacksonville pretty well, I don't see them making it out.
I think it could be close. I think it's possible. I wouldn't rule it out.
Well, I mean, I think
As I was saying, you never know. You can't. It's hard to completely rule it out. I don't think it's going to happen either. But we've seen weirder shit happen.
the problem.
Jacksonville's a 7-9 and 9-7. Like that's where their range is. Sorry, Danger.
Oh, no, no, fine. I don't think Jacksonville has the ability to challenge for a division title. And I think in the AFC, or I think the Colts are going to win that pretty handily, or even the Titans. But I think the AFC wildcards are going to come from the South and the East. But I think it's going to be Miami, New York, and
No love for the West?
or even for the West. Like, there are too many teams that are going to be challenging for that wildcard spots for Jacksonville to even make a legitimate chance at it. Because the West has Denver and Oakland. The South has Tennessee and Indianapolis, and the East has New York and Miami.
Okay,
Here's a
North
question.
North
Here's a
South
question.
anyway.
Go ahead, John.
The North has
Yeah.
Maybe we can petition to get the AFC North just completely left out, and we can get a third wild team in there. And then Jacksonville can take that spot, maybe. Yeah, smart money I think would be on a team out of the AFC West and an additional team out of the AFC East, but I don't think it's out of the question that Jacksonville could maybe challenge for a wild card spot. I don't think they'll get it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they got closer than people think.
Yeah, I agree.
Overall, guys, what do you think about the competitive fairness in the league from last year to this year? Like, I think it's become more fair just with how the salary cap has impacted the game now that we're a few years in. The talent's more well spread out. We have experienced coaches pretty much all over. There's not many flaming dumpster fire front offices anymore. Do you guys think it's more competitive now than even last year?
It's definitely competitive in the AFC. I think the AFC was very clearly for a couple of seasons divided into like some halves and then halves, and now I think we're getting the floor is getting high. The NFC was always absurdly competitive. I think because more NFC teams existed at the start of the league, and so you had more experience and more teams that had been around to gather talent. But yeah, I think it's definitely getting more competitive without a doubt. But it's more visible in the AFC.
I'd have to agree with that. Last year, I only really saw 7 teams in the AFC possibly making the playoffs, and this year it's probably around 9 or 10 that I could see getting up in there. So it'll be interesting to see how this season goes. As long as everyone prays to the pipe.
Oh man, fucking pipe.
Okay, we'll just get into it now. Thursday night football, Seattle traveled to Tampa, and it was a pretty slow game. Not much happening. A lot of field goals in the first half, going into the second half with a score of 3-6. Tampa didn't really open up till the third quarter with 2 deep bomb touchdowns. Taylor Hyden to Adrian Jankowski, Xander Williams to Jim Umanura. Sealed the deal by James Otero down the middle. Tampa recently had their front office resign, and Seattle head coach Sofo seems to still be figuring things out. What do you guys think about this game and the implications that it has for the upcoming season?
I think there's a couple of things you can look at as to why this game was slow. For one thing, Tampa's obviously going through a lot of front office changes. We're not really sure where they'll end up. Seattle, they are actually they're in the process of changing their offensive systems. So I know that the coaching staff was, as you said, they were feeling a lot out at the moment. So I'm not really that surprised that those factors come. The fact that both of these teams have pretty big impact guys on defense that are used to slowing down offenses that have their shit together. I'm not surprised this one was kind of slow. Corey Quinn definitely made an impact for Seattle. And on Tampa Bay's side, you always know Frank Williams is going to cause hell, and Derek Martin is going to run sideline to sign at linebacker. So I'm not really surprised this game was kind of slow. This is a game that maybe towards the end of the year will have an impact on the divisional race, the race for playoff seeding potentially. But at the moment, this is kind of going to be a footnote until we get a little bit more clarity in the NFC.
Danger Dean, you guys got anything?
I'll talk. What we saw here was kind of like Sophos has figured out the defense. I think in Seattle, they haven't really changed anything. They did a pretty good job of containing Tampa Bay, but the Seattle offense is just not moving very well at all. Like Fred Tyndale, I don't think he's really done anything good since his first season with Seattle. He's kind of just been mediocre since then, but it's still, I guess, near the starting level. And Xander has taken a step down as well. He's still like better than Ryan Clark this season, but I don't think Sophos has figured him out yet either. So we'll see how that comes together in the coming weeks. But I don't know how to feel about Seattle right now.
Yeah, I think part of it was Tampa Bay's ability to get to Xander. They really kept him from using his mobility. They had 2 sacks, and he only had 4 carries for 13 yards when he was getting out of the pocket. So there really wasn't a lot of room for him to move. So he was kind of struggling along that, and I think that's the biggest way to get to Alexander Williams, because I'm not sure, but I'm going to guess a lot of his throwing comes off the run, because he had an okay game passing the ball, but under, I think, 9 yards an attempt, 1 touchdown, 1 interception isn't great. And Tampa Bay did that, but I think it's definitely more on their defensive line than it was their secondary. Fred Tyndale's an average running back. He's nothing great, nothing exceptional. All those Florida guys aren't, but it's about where I think they stand.
You want to have any arguments from me about Tyndale in that front? I said it on the draft broadcast. I thought Seattle should have held on to the running back from Auburn instead of trading him, but that's neither here nor there.
Offerdahl?
Yeah, neither offense was very pretty. That's for sure.
I do want to say Tampa probably has the best 2-back offense in the league right now. Otero is a nice, powerful back up and down the middle. Eddie Anderson bringing the change of pace, nearly getting 5 yards a carry. Taylor Hayden even coming in for his occasional long runs, causing hell in the pocket. It's going to be a nightmare for teams with bad run defenses to take on Tampa.
What do you guys think of Jankowski? 34 yards, but he did have that touchdown.
Yeah, it's a little.
Well, I mean, Tampa did sort of throw like crap, and Corey Quinn was on the other side, so that's kind of a tough sell for a rookie.
Yeah, it would be Corey Quinn, but
well, to be fair, Jank was playing in the slot, so he's not going to get a hold when you only complete 15 passes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, none of the first round rookie wide receivers had done great to this point. We might see a couple.
I think you should check that again, buddy.
You should look out at 1 p.m.
There is an exception to that. One of them performed quite well in a way that none of us didn't expect.
I was talking up to this point, but a couple of them performed well today, so we'll see that.
No, go take a look at what Monte Jackson's doing in Carolina. It's terrifying.
I guess he was just saying up to Thursday.
Yeah, up until Thursday. Today, a couple of them performed really well because, like I said, we'll see that in a bit. But up until that point,
that's fair.
It's a weird
Thursday. Got it. We'll just make our way to Sunday morning now. Work our way down the list. Miami traveled to Nashville to take on the Tennessee Titans in one of the most exciting games we've seen. 29-31 Tennessee, ending with a Brian Brown incompletion for the 2-point conversion to tie the game. What a showdown. Anyone want to take the lead on this? We'll throw it to Dean.
All right, well, Kareem Taylor kind of had a game where it looked like Brian Brown out there with those 347 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Brian Brown kind of looked like Kareem, just solid. Only 219 yards, which isn't like Brian Brown volume that you kind of expect out of Miami. It wasn't really a defensive showdown. That they did have some players show up. I think both sides had a sack, but that was pretty much it. And Christensen had that INT. Titans also lose Vaughn St. Clair, which is kind of a blow. I'm not sure how
That's
important
pretty
it is.
big.
They have to hire him. And Chris Bell still hasn't shown up yet, which is kind of disappointing. But Tennessee still looked good. I mean, they beat Miami, so definitely a good start for Todd in Tennessee.
Yeah, it's hard to think what else Brian Brown could have done to get Miami the win here. He only threw for 219 yards, but he was efficient as hell. 3 touchdowns, no turnovers at all. That's the kind of game where that's a stat line that your quarterback should have in a win. They clearly dominated on the ground. Tennessee only ran for 54 with Chris Bell. Marcus Berry had 20 carries for 103 yards. If you the stats, without any of the touchdowns, and you just looked at yardage, at completions, you looked at just it really would almost look like Miami should have had this game in hand. But they clearly didn't. It was a shootout. Kareem Taylor just threw the ball all over the yard. Tommy Fury just killing it in the red zone. Yikes.
Well, what happened in this game, Tennessee went up pretty big in the first half. They're up 17-7. And after that, it looked like it was all Miami, but their defense kind of struggled after the first half. In the third quarter, Ben Morrison kicked 3 field goals in 1 quarter. If any of those are touchdowns, then Miami wins. I mean, they weren't the closest to field goals. One of them was 33 yards. But the fact that in the second half Miami had 5 scoring drives is kind of telling on how the game went. But Tennessee was able to keep it and hold on for the victory. But
also, one other point, though, right quick. Is this the most penalty yards we've seen in a game? Miami penalties for 105 yards. Just absolutely sloppy.
But another thing I wanted to mention was the fact that each of Tennessee's passing touchdowns were from 25 yards and more. They're all within that 25 to 40 range. But Miami clearly missing Dane Wilson out there. Presence missing, and their secondary just kind of fell apart there. That's why Kareem was able to tear him up so bad.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Definitely missing Dane Wilson for sure. Lauren Christensen did his part, had a pick, but clearly missing that deep roving cover man. Which, despite being a strong safety, Dane Wilson definitely was huge in coverage.
Going forward, what do you think about the Titans without Vaughn St. Clair? How big of a loss do you think that is? Because he's one of the better receiving tight ends in the NFL. Even though he's a blocking type, he consistently put up good numbers. He was with us. He got an expansion draft to the Titans, and he put up good numbers as a number 2 tight end with us. We didn't really want to lose him, but we couldn't afford to protect him. And he's been great through most of his career. I think it's going to be a pretty big loss because they don't have much at that position. And just in terms of targets, they're not the best. They have Furry and Cap Christian, but I think that's a pretty big loss losing that target.
I'm not sure how big a loss that is. St. Clair was always a big target going down the middle, but even in this game, you see Art Baber, their slot receiver, getting 7 receptions for 50 yards. Kareem's always been known to sort of spread the ball around. You can see that. He's got the deep threats now in Christian and Furry. Even Tony Gross is a pretty fast guy. This is an exciting Tennessee offense, and I think they just go more into like a 3-wide, 4-wide set. Avoid putting St. Clair out there, any other tight end.
I think where they'll miss St. Clair more is in the running game. You can see that, again, 14 carries for 54 yards is not going to get it done. But Kareem, even when he was with the Saints, he was never super involved. He never really got a tight end involved in the passing game as much. I think with the Titans offense, concerned with wide receivers, he's got targets there. And yeah, I think they'll miss him more in the running game.
All right.
Yeah, we've talked a good bit about this game. Let's move on. New England Patriots at Jacksonville.
Speaking of rookie wide receivers,
Yeah. Jamel Beckham.
Beckham had 7 for 100 yards, but he didn't get in the end zone.
Jacksonville wins off the leg of Alejandro Aguirre, who knocked in 3 field goals, including 1 in overtime to seal the deal.
Lady Gaga's favorite player.
Alejandro. Yeah, really good rookie showing out of Jacksonville. Asante Sewell looking every bit the part of a number 2 overall pick. Christian Haywood just putting the boomstick down on Rob Last Knees Blackman. And then Jay Wade shutting down whoever he was up against. Good old Jay Wade, Alabama cornerback legend Jay Wade.
Jay Wade.
Danger, what do you think about this New England offense since your baby boy Jamel Beckham's on it?
Jamel played better than really I expected. There's a lot of my boys on there because Rob Blackman's on this offense too. That's 69. But
dropping that fumble. Dropping that fumble.
That's been a point of his career too, and that was a big factor in the fact that both teams had 2 turnovers, but Jacksonville turned theirs into points. Because when
that one was at the half.
One of New England's interceptions, immediately Rob Blackman fumbled, and the Jackson went down and scored. But it was a good game for Jamel. He struggled last week. 7 catches is really almost more important than the 101 yards. But he still wasn't able to convert on third down because New England was 3 of 15 on third down. Jacksonville was 5 of 16. Lawyer Johnson.
Yeah, 3 for 15, 20% on third down. Whew.
Yeah, that was a bad game. Jacksonville wasn't much better, but a couple extra conversions.
Yeah.
Lawyer Johnson looked good at the end of the game, but it looks like he couldn't get it done in overtime. I wish I could see more of what exactly happened in overtime and how it led to that, but ended up with Aguirre from a pretty good distance field goal.
Dean, I'll throw this to you real quick. Jayshon Watts, 1 interception, 3 tackles. Any regrets?
A career game out of Jayshon Watts. So at this point, I think he had a pretty decent preseason. We had been 2 garbage. In Cleveland, he was hot garbage. I remember just each week I look at the receiver that Jayshon had been guarding, and it'd be like 100 yards receiving. And I'm glad he's turned it around to an extent. I mean, it's kind of bittersweet. But, I mean, it's good to know that I didn't draft a guy who was completely terrible. He did a good week this week. I just had 0 faith in my drafting ability in Jayshon Watts. So I'll learn from my mistakes again. New change every year.
Question for you, Neo. Kamau Davis, 22 for 32, but only for 188 yards and 2 interceptions. What do you think Kamau needs to do going forward? I know Jacksonville pulled out the win today, but is this the Davis we should expect all season, or will it improve?
I don't know how high his seed is. He won a Super Bowl in Dallas, obviously, but that team was pretty stacked. He's potentially a similar type of elite talent at running back in Asante Soul, but still young. He's still a rookie. This is his 2nd game. So it's going to take him a little time to get his sea legs. He had a pretty good game today, 20 rushes for 105 yards. But Kamau's got to, flip that script there, go from 2 picks to 2 touchdowns, and Jacksonville wins this one in a blowout. Shout out to my boy Christian Haywood, schooling one of Danger's boys, as he mentioned earlier, with the strip recovery on that whack he had on Rob Blackman, one of the biggest hits I've ever seen. Shout out to Christian Haywood. Shout out to everybody who let Christian Haywood fall out of the top 10. Fuck you guys. If you needed a linebacker, why didn't you take him?
I still think Arizona passing on was one of the bigger misses of the draft when they took, I think, Garner.
Yep, Ian
Garner.
Yeah, and we will talk about that later. Houston to Buffalo. Both teams lost in their first week, and it comes down to just Chad Dess taking over the game in the 4th quarter. Buffalo beats Houston 30-21. Danger. Blake Shell was your former quarterback. Now he's leading the charge for the
All my
Houston
former
Texans.
players here.
He struggled a bit, but he had a pretty good first week. Do you think Blake Shell's problem has been consistency? Is it a mental problem for him?
Part of it, I think, is that Buffalo's defense did exactly what they were supposed to do, or what their entire plan is, and they sacked him, it looks like 5 times. Like, it says here,
A crap load of sacks.
over and over again.
a metric crap load.
No, like he didn't have a good game by any means, but it looks like he had no time to throw. And especially with something like Houston, who's very confident in their offensive line, I wouldn't be surprised if they ran something like wait for opening. I don't really know about exactly how Houston game plans, but something along those lines wouldn't surprise me. And he did not look good. I think he had a lot of pressure. I think he struggles with a lot of pressure in his face. He had a bad game. 184 yards passing is what he was doing with us. But he was also throwing like 18 times, like 10 of 18 for 184 instead of 19 of 34.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was a bad game. But I do think part of it was just the pure pressure that they were getting on him.
I'm going to make a note real quick.
Yeah.
Houston went 1 of 12 on third downs. That absolutely killed them. It's
That's garbage.
a team that's methodical on offense. They're going to run the ball. They're going to make their completions. They don't really have a deep threat, and Houston's going to struggle because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see Anthony Ortiz, Kendall Hill. You get to third down and obvious situations, and those dudes just fucking tee off on the quarterback. And you can see Houston pay for it. 1 of 12 on third down. 1 of 12. Houston's offensive line had a 7.5 rating. They weren't that terrible. But Kendall Hill absolutely abused Rodney Atkins in this game. Atkins was just completely out of his league. For those who don't know, Atkins is Houston's center. He's a year player out of Navy, and he had his welcome to the NFL moment a year late. Kendall Hill just abusing guy.
On the other side, we have the Loch Ness Monster just taking over the game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
2 touchdowns for him. 1 to get the lead and 1 to seal the deal pretty much. Joaquin Younger looked good. Dean, what are your thoughts on Younger as NFL starter?
Okay, I think I was vouching for Younger last year a little bit. I thought maybe Buffalo could try to run out another year because I wasn't too sold on these quarterbacks in this class. And it works okay. He's definitely a backup. I think going to next year, I think they definitely need somebody else. I don't know if they drafted David or something. And that was the only quarterback they got, so they don't actually have a solution at the moment besides Younger. But I think he's a passable starter. He's definitely bottom tier, but I think he could be a good backup starting next year. But I don't think he'll lead anything besides maybe 6 wins for Buffalo this year.
So we've got a former Houston football staff member throwing out some drama there. Former coach Yellow Evan, now Dallas Cowboys, letting us know on social media, Houston was removing the ball when I was in charge. So still a little salty there. I wonder if Houston's a little salty as well.
Perhaps. Their offensive line, for as many good guys they have on there, just did not do well against this Buffalo defensive line either. They got demolished.
They're strong on the outside with Matt Bogle at left tackle, and then Aaron Guglielmi is pretty decent at right tackle. But on the inside, they're a little weaker. John Chance is great, but Jason Osorio is still growing as a player, and Rodney Atkins is. I mean, I'm sure he'll grow and be fine, but right now Kendall Hill is just way too much for him to handle.
Kendall Hill, free agent acquisition superstar Kendall Hill.
Don't mention that.
Another former. Let's not forget. The defense on the other side had some pretty good plays, especially on the defensive line. Rob Fulton, the rookie out of LSU, had a sack, and Kalana Groth out of Ohio State. So defensive lines on both sides making some noise.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Oh, Robert Fulton. Was he the one that was played as a defensive tackle all last season?
In his junior year, I believe. Yes.
God.
Just
There was some
crazy
really
stuff.
weird. There was some really weird roster decisions made when
The
I
Crimson.
believe it was Crimson Chin was LSU's coach. He played a cornerback at wide receiver, and he started in the slot.
Is that still?
Up next,
That
we have
Was still played slot receiver at LSU.
The LaRon Christian.
Like 20 catches like that for 175 yards and 3 touchdowns.
LaRon Christensen, one play at wide receiver, broken his leg out for the season.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's risky business.
That was the last time Hyder ever tried that.
Speaking of great corner, this next game,
Oh.
oh
Seditious
goodness.
Bowl. Seditious Bowl.
Dishes were done.
Will Hall just erased. He erased Ty Miller from the field, man. It was like Ty Miller didn't even show up.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's
Who's
not thought
the
about.
Browns' offensive tackle? Because Curtis Lewis just took him down to pound.
Kavanaugh got wrecked.
And then Kenyatta Henderson on the other side.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Kavanaugh and Gill.
Yeah, this Giants team is pretty dangerous. Super Bowl pick is pretty loaded with playmakers on defense for sure.
I'm surprised how
Took full advantage.
I'm like legit surprised. I don't think the Giants' offense is that good, but I think we shut down Stanford surprisingly well. I'm going to give a shout out to our rookie safeties, Andrew Wade and Martin Hernandez. I think he got the start finally. So that was a nice. That's like the only bright spot I think. Honestly,
This Giants defense is just bloodthirsty. Ryan Clark stood no chance back there. Dean, talk us through your running attack. It looks like you gave a lot of carries between Mitchell, Wilson, and Clark. What are your thoughts on it right now?
Yeah, they're not good at the moment. Grady was great in college. He had a decent preseason game. I don't know if it was the system, but I remember we were looking at the Giants secondary, and we were like, hey, we should probably run the ball more this week, and that didn't work too well because there's still Kenyatta. The Giants' defense is just scary in general for the most part, honestly, because they're pretty well built on the defensive end. It's not like throwing the ball worked well either, so we can't really fault that part of the game plan. Everything wasn't working. But yeah, we're trying out the rookies. Hopefully one will turn into a decent back, and hopefully this is an anomaly and not, a common thread we see throughout the season.
One big thing for you, Dean. This is the second week in a row where Lloyd Williams missed a field goal.
Yeah, and Kaufman was trash in the preseason too, so we're just dealing with some kickers that are just having the yips right now. It's just not a good situation in Cleveland kicking wise. There's something in the water.
Yeah, this game pretty much illustrates the difference between Blake Shell and Ryan Clark. Both of them were sacked heavily by the opposing front seven. But Blake Shell cannot run away, and so he scrambled 5 times and had negative 25 yards. Ryan Clark scrambled 4 times to get away from pressure and still managed to gain at least 9 yards out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Slightly better completion percentage too, but still. The good news for Clark is he doesn't have to face that Giants defense every week. So hopefully those two interceptions shouldn't be something that lasts. When Ty Miller comes back from vacation on Will Hall, or down the hallway, or wherever he was. Clark will be a lot better off.
Danger, I'm going to pick on you real quick.
Sorry.
Danger, I'm going to pick on you real quick. You picked the Giants to win the Super Bowl. Looking at this game, their offense feels really lacking, putting up 19 points, but most of it behind Stanley Brewster's leg. Do you think they can still win it all even with this offensive performance?
I think they can. I think they will because I picked them. Corano is still a really consistent, good running back. He's not elite. If they had Chester Henson, it would be a different story, but that obviously went south. So there's that. R.J. Stanford had a bad game. I think Cleveland has an all-right secondary, not elite. They'd be better with Deshaun Watts. But
would not have believed that last year.
But no, it was a rough game for their offense. But I think what they can do is be an offense that's average to above average consistently every week. I think it definitely depends on Stanford, who may be more of a volume passer, maybe better with more passing attempts than they're giving him right now. And Corano's going to be consistent, I think, either way, around 4.5 yards per carry pretty much every time he goes out there. I think that's generally what you're going to get from the Giants, but it's their defense who's going to have 3.5 sacks at least on the stat sheet, 2 interceptions. That's what's going to win games for them going down the line. I think their offense.
So
I think their offense is going to be good enough to let the defense win the game. If that makes sense.
It does. One more note I want to say about this. Really got to hand it to former Georgia Bob Stanley. Somehow had 23 yards on less than 2 catches.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he did there. Less than 2 catches.
So it's a little unclear. Maybe the league is still reviewing one of them.
We know there's fewer than.
We're back from the league office on that one.
All right. Dallas at Cincinnati.
I don't think that game happened. I think we're going to Washington at Pittsburgh.
T-Rod!
Yeah, really good showing out of Taylor Rodriguez. Really good showing out of Von Abraham. Dallas performed exceptionally well against Cincinnati. What went wrong for you, Danger?
We had some serious defensive issues for one. I think not having Calvin Celestion kind of showed its head, letting Taylor Rodriguez do that. I think with him in there, our defense performs a lot better. But letting him go 6-11 of 11 on third down was a problem. But even outside of that, I think even with the better defensive performance, our offense seems to play better. They just beat us pretty much on all sides of the ball. I think it's a lot closer with a defense that's healthier, but I think there's going to be injuries all through the season, so that's not really an excuse. And Taylor Rodriguez had a great game for him. I mean, it wasn't his low yards per attempt, but he didn't turn the ball over. Defense couldn't force any turnovers, couldn't stop him on third down, and that usually leads to a loss because there's no way you're getting the ball up there, converting every third down. Joel King played better.
I mean, he got a garbage time touchdown.
True, but he still showed some signs of improvement.
Yeah. I mean, the average was definitely better. Like, he was
only the second game of Ron Thomas's career where he didn't reach 100 yards.
Yeah, they held him to under, like, they nearly held him to 5 or 4 yards per carry. So that was
a little over 4 yards a carry, yeah. He didn't have a great game.
Yeah, and he didn't get a chance to have too many carries either because since he was down for so long, just the game plan wise of it, they had to
throw him. And that really going down so early kind of took us out of a rhythm. I mean, for a while it was close. I mean, the first touchdown wasn't scored until 5 minutes left in the game, and then even in the second quarter they didn't score again. So for a while it was close, but you could tell there were just long stretches where we couldn't get much left. I do think it's interesting. Pretty much, Dallas doesn't. There's no events until less than 6 minutes in each quarter, except for that Carlos Cruz field goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really impressed
Yeah.
with this Dallas offensive line. 8.6 rating. Might be one of the highest NFL HD has ever recorded.
Dallas has hit 9 before, I think.
9. That's crazy.
Yeah. And Cincinnati has a decent defensive line, so it's not like they're going up against scrubs this week.
Yeah. Cincinnati's biggest weakness is probably across the board is defensive tackle, though.
Yeah.
Playing a guy who was a 7th-round draft pick like 4 years ago. He's only an 80 overall right now.
Oh, God.
Kendall Hill would be pretty useful here.
Yeah. Yeah,
Kendall Hill
you'd
and
think
Rodney
so.
Galbraith on this defensive line would make it really.
Right, Rodney Montgomery and Kendall Hill, yeah.
Rodney Galbraith and Kendall Hill would make a crazy defensive line, and then
Cincinnati Bengals All-Stars. So yeah, two really interesting notes about this game. One, for sort of the future, Dallas. Taylor Rodriguez always likes to spread things out. He completed 19 passes, and you're only seeing, I think, 13 of them on the stat sheet. A guy who I expect to see more opportunities later in the season is wide receiver Francisco Gibson. He was a number 1 guy at Washington. I'd be a little surprised if he didn't pass Alex Gash for that slot receiver by the end of the year. He might potentially even make it up to the number 2 spot. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on that. Secondly, so the last 2 games you've sort of seen a tale of 2 different ways to break down your really expensive lines. Houston lost some inside guys. Dallas, side guy, and drafted a replacement in rookie Giovanni Garrison out of ECU, and we've seen two very different pros. Granted, Dallas wasn't going up against as rough of an opponent, but they've definitely transitioned better. Part of that could be because the top end is much higher on Dallas. Justin Campbell and Jace Brown are probably the 2 best at their positions, and Sid Henson at center is not that far behind. So there's that. But
Yeah, just all around strong victory for Dallas as they bounce back from a week 1 loss. Cincinnati's still trying to figure things out, but this isn't their. I think most of us think that this isn't their year to really succeed. If Joel King can turn it around a few years down the road, these experiences will help him. It'll be like Peyton Manning getting beat up in his rookie season.
really, the goal of this season is to have, is just to have good performances with King and Thomas. Get them going, and Ratterman, who actually had a pretty good game today, 5 catches for 54 yards.
You also want to get the Browns a good pick, right? That's the plan this season too.
No, because our team's not bad enough. We'll be like 8-8 or something this year.
I don't know.
Might be enough to win the division. I don't know how good Baltimore is.
I think the entire AFC North is going to be around 6-10 and like 2-14.
I think the Browns will be like 3-13.
I think
Every other team will be between 7-9 and 10-6. I think that's the best.
No, get out of here.
I think. I don't even think about 10-6. Probably 9-7, 7-9, 9-7. Baltimore might be able to get 10-6, but I still don't trust them. I still don't think.
I think 8-8 wins the AFC North.
I think 9-7 will win it. 9-7, just like last year. 9-7 will win the AFC North.
Speaking of AFC North, Washington Redskins at Pittsburgh Steelers.
And this was a surprise.
Yeah.
The Redskins 41, Pittsburgh 14. What a beatdown. Dean, I don't think you got too much of a word in the last game. What do you think about your fellow AFC North team, Pittsburgh, and the Redskins' performance as a whole?
With as much as Pittsburgh built into their secondary recently, Javier Fields still seemed to have not many issues going through them, and then their offense was just terrible. It's the entire reason they lost this game. Because if you look at Washington's numbers, yeah, sure, they're all solid offensively, but it's not anything that blows you away. But they still blew them out of the water because Pittsburgh didn't do anything offensively. Rob Core had a mediocre game. Don Williams was mediocre, shocker. He's definitely past his prime now. And there's just nothing Pittsburgh could do to stop Washington today. That's it. I mean, like, I don't know what else to say.
Well, coming in at halftime, it was only 13-7 Washington. Rob Corp threw a touchdown, got the lead for Pittsburgh, 14-13, and then the Steelers collapsed. They gave up 28 unanswered points, starting from the 7th minute of the third quarter. Do you guys think it's like a fatigue problem, a lack of depth, maybe? Is the injury report going to have a lot of Steelers on them?
I don't know. I think Washington was just the better team by a decent end. It showed itself. Some mistakes. You had a mistake early when Michael Barber took one back for Washington. They only got a field goal out of it. And then at the very end, sort of dagger, you see the last gasp, Patrick Parks with the 80-yard pick six when Pitt's driving down the field. I just think that Washington was the better team and wore him down. The thing that gets me is, where's Dane Wilson?
Yeah.
He's a strong safety. I mean, you can't expect a strong safety to make the stat sheet every week.
No, I mean at the same time. No, I mean you don't expect him to make the stat sheet or not. But I mean, look at Washington's passing numbers. I mean.
Yeah, but I also think the strong safety isn't as big in the passing game as the free safety is.
Yeah.
I think strong safety is more of a run-stopping kind of position that you really need. I think passing is more dependent on free safety. But that being said, Stephen Elliott should be able to stop it.
Stephen Elliott might be the most overrated free safety in the game.
I think
he might be.
I think Dane Wilson's interception numbers over his career lie in the face of the strong safety being a run stopping guy mainly.
I still think
Dane Wilson.
I mean, you can say that.
Dane Wilson don't care.
Harry Anthony had an interception last week.
Yeah.
But, like, the thing is, too, Washington wasn't, like, blowing them out of the water. It's not going to be deep bomb. It was 6-yard touchdown, an 8-yard touchdown pass.
Yeah, and that really speaks true because Pittsburgh's best corner is Joel Prince.
Yeah, and he's overrated, too, by them at least. I don't think he's really overrated by the rest of the league, but I think they're a little higher on him than they should be. I don't really know their evaluation. But they've hyped him up.
What he drafted back in 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah, Washington really putting a great foot forward. Looks like they might shake things up. NFC East as a whole looks like the most exciting conference this upcoming season, just competitively.
Yeah. They're always an interesting conference. They've always been that way throughout that year.
Yeah.
To the water. Where any team's just blown away. I think Dallas has been on top a lot, and they'll probably stay on top, but there's still the other teams battling it out as well.
It'll be interesting to see if Dallas can sort of maintain their hold on the division. Obviously there's a change in coaching over there, so a lot of it on the Yellow Evan to try to maintain thing, because it's a really it's a loaded division, so it's a fragile lead. So it'll be up to him to kind of stay the course.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, looking at it now, Dallas might have the worst quarterback in that division, which is new for them. They've always had Kamau, who's a middle-of-the-road guy. Taylor Rodriguez might be good. We just don't know too much about him. But we know Javier Fields, a gunslinger. Alan Taylor's explosive. R.J. Stanford is an excellent arm. It's going to be really interesting to see how that shakes out. Jumping over now, Arizona at Carolina. And Skaggs.
Skaggs.
Sweet baby Skaggs Jesus.
Skaggs.
Skaggs. That's all you can say.
Skaggs.
Go off and keep coaching. He just gets
Skaggs is the goat.
Skaggs all over the defenses.
Kelly Littleton.
Skaggs for MVP already.
Yeah.
seriously though, 5 touchdowns, 409 yards. I mean, I know Arizona's secondary wasn't that good last year, and they're relying heavily on rookie corner Ian Garner, who did show up with 6 tackles to his credit. But holy crap!
That's because he gave up a completion and then tackled the guy after he caught the ball. That's just.
And you know what? For
I'm not sure you want your
rookie going up against Skaggs, the fact that he tackle is to his credit, because otherwise that's like 6 more touchdowns and we'd be giving Skaggs the MVP already.
Who's a free? Mo Wilkins a free safety?
I don't even know who the fuck Mo Wilkins is. I've never heard that name before.
I think Mo Wilkins is a free agent, but I can check up on that for you.
Oh man.
No, I mean, I think they'd been better off if they had Christian Hayward.
Torched.
Secondary.
They'd still be screwed because their secondary would still have problems too.
True, but
I don't think Christian Hayward helps the defense.
I think I will disagree with that. Christian Hayward pass defense, but he's not going to help bring deep. And Skaggs was obviously secondary.
How
on the more intermediate routes, short routes, absolutely. But when Monte Jackson's running a post and getting behind your corner, I don't think there's a whole lot Hayward could do about that.
How about Kelly fucking Littleton?
Yeah, Skaggs is the best in the league at getting random receivers to put up like gaudy stats. Like who was like Kelly Littleton is a no name.
Tight end. He's good, Bob Branch.
He's the new Bob Branch.
Kelly Littleton also.
Look.
Okay, I'm starting to think that Skaggs is really nice throwing to tight ends. I think that really may be like quarterback to quarterback.
Yeah, no, dude, he's always like we know that he's always loved throwing it to tight ends.
He's Bob Branch and All Pro.
And
Spec Davidson was like absurdly good with him.
They're not.
That's X thing, man.
He
loves the tight end. He loves to throw it. He loves to throw it to the tight end.
Why can't I remember the name? The guy.
Spec Davidson.
Davidson, yeah, Skip Davidson.
He just said it 50 times.
I'm sorry, I was saying Skip Gibson.
Yeah.
No, we're good. But yeah, Skaggs loves tight ends. I said it like when I was on almost every NFL Live last year, and I'll say it again apparently because it's gonna have to. It's just worth saying over and over again. Skaggs is one of the few quarterbacks, as far as I'm concerned, there's only 2 right now that can make their receivers. No matter who you slap on there, he's going to make them absolutely kick ass.
What happened to Carolina?
Jermaine Bishop, 3 catches for 71 yards and a touchdown. Richard Zimmerman is a nobody from Kansas, 5th-year player. 3 catches, 65 yards. I mean, like, look at those per catch averages. Skaggs is just bombing it downfield, and Arizona could not stop it.
Another thing
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
So, Kelly Littleton's second year, 81 overall tight end, so he's good. But if just say that instead of drafting Monte Jackson, or somehow they ended up with Matt Stone or a tight end like that.
Absolutely. That would have been unreal.
Option for them, a guy like Monte Jackson, because of how much Skaggs.
I don't know that I would say it's a better option because they're like dog shit. I mean, Skaggs can make anybody into something, but at some point,
he needs something.
If you give him something of value, especially like they don't have anybody with that kind of size. Like, Eddie McFadden's 6'4", but Monte Jackson's 6'6", 227. That dude's huge.
His first 3 wide receivers.
That dude's a monster.
He's bigger than Kelly Littleton, which is kind of scary.
Monte Jackson might be the biggest in the league. If he's not, he's close. But that dude's huge. So pick for them. It made absolute sense. If they had drafted Matt Stone, hell, they might have 2. They might have 2 tight ends a pitch sheet every week.
Oh, yeah, but another thing I wanted to say is Joseph Bowens kind of went from a guy who was first year looked like he was going to be a great running back in the future to a guy who's just mediocre now. And that's really disappointing. He's really taking a step back, I think.
I'm a little bit disappointed we didn't see 150-pound rookie wide receiver Troy Wilson out of Cincinnati get some snaps, because I have to believe he would have had like 20 yards per catch out there.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
fast, guys. He's fast. Really fast.
The dude can get in the end zone. Get him the ball. The answer is yes. I'm imagining like 3 catches for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That'll close it out for the morning games. Let's go into the afternoon predictions. New York Jets taking on the Indianapolis Colts as the top game of this slot. Danger, who do you got?
Colts Jets might be the best game of the week.
Yeah.
Jets win it. I think that Colts are still too one-dimensional without Tony Peaks. I think Muhammad don't have a bad game, and Jets take this fairly easily. I think Shea's going to try and make it interesting, but I think the Jets are too consistent. They're going to do what they've always done.
Dean.
Okay, the thing with me is I don't think the Jets are that much better at being two-dimensional. I mean, Emmanuel Fields is, I mean, he's better than Mamadou or whatever the fuck that guy's name is. But he's still not great, and Uyghur's definitely worse than Aaron Shea. Because, I mean, Uyghur's taken a step up, I think, but he's still an average quarterback, and Shea's a good one. And the Colts are always, like, sneaky good defensively, I think. I think they had, like, four actual like stats. They have Quentin Smith, who's a fucking monster of a defensive tackle. They have a couple good corners. I think they have Sean Burton back there too. I think they could take this one, and I think they're at home, right?
Colts are.
They are at home.
I'd take the Colts at home over the Jets, but I still like the Jets as the champs in the AFC. But yeah.
All right. Neo, who'd you got?
Both of the running backs that are going to be starting them are completely uninspiring. If Tony Peaks was playing Colts, I would have the Colts winning big. I still have the Colts winning at home. Quentin Smith is going to make plays.
I'm going with the Colts myself. Uyghur's had a thumb injury that's bothered him this past week. That makes me really nervous. A lot of quarterbacks with the hand, thumb, finger injuries from the past season have struggled immensely in the next game. And with how one-dimensional the New York Jets is, and a guy like Colts strong safety, who is currently eluding my mind right now. Strong safety.
You're thinking of Chris Bowen.
Sean Burton.
Sean Burton. Okay.
Yeah, free safety, Sean Burton.
Yeah, with a guy like Sean Burton back there, I'm ready to pick off any underthrown passes that might happen with a thumb injury. I'm gonna go with the Colts. That home field advantage is big too. I think people underrate home field advantage,
especially with those two teams being kind of similar. I think that's where the edge lies.
Yeah. All right, back to the top. Oakland Raiders taking on the Minnesota Vikings in Minneapolis. Danger, who's you got?
Minnesota and who? Sorry, I'm not actually looking at the schedule.
Raiders at Vikings.
Raiders.
This is easy.
Cole throws for 500 yards.
Yeah, no. The Vikings are about to get plundered and raped.
I am excited. I think he could set like an NFL record for passing yards. I'm excited. I think he's ready to just blow up here. It's gonna be ugly, and I think Alien might just look at this and go, "Fuck it, we're gonna throw Nick Hall 70 times." Yeah. They're not gonna do anything to stop him. Devon Drummond, who the fuck? Like, I think is a 3rd-round pick.
All right, Danger's emphatically in the Raiders camp. Dean, who's you got?
It's emphatically the Raiders. This might be the biggest blowout I've ever seen. Like, okay, you have Nick Hall, who's probably the best volume passer in the NFL, going against the worst secondary by far in the NFL. There's no way this game is close. I'd say it's at least like 42-14. The Raiders win big here.
Neo.
Whew, man, you guys have no in the original Super Bowl champions, huh?
Against
You know
nobody-
Brian Vardell. You know Brian Vardell and Chester Henson are still on the other side of the field, right?
The Raiders in the
They've got a wide receiver named Sonny Beckett. You might have heard of him. 6'6", set the NFL Combine record for a 40-yard dash. In any case, yeah, I'm going with the Raiders here.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be. I don't think it'll be like the biggest blowout of the season. But I would be very surprised if the Raiders didn't win by like 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm going with the Raiders.
Raiders are pretty damn good.
Yeah, Raiders are good, and their strengths play exactly into Minnesota's weakness, which is cornerback. It's gonna be ugly, folks. Is it raining over there, Neo?
I'm sorry, Minnesota. Like, I know what it feels like to have everyone count your team out, but like, I just don't see it.
Yeah, and it's not the biggest blowout.
You're better than people think. I feel the same way.
not though.
But it just Oakland is such a bad matchup that it's gonna.
Yeah.
Chester Henson might have a great game, but it wouldn't matter.
And this is partly on ALWL. It's not really this new administration's fault. Like, they just have no secondary players.
They don't have anyone to
Corners
stop.
are fine when they're hot garbage for like 4 years, and they kind of were since they were making the playoffs. Right? But, it's just like now it's just like no, there's no way. I'm sorry, Minnesota. It's not gonna be the biggest blow. This is easiest to call. Again, it's easiest to call. I think obviously probably because Oakland just plays right in Minnesota's weakness.
I'm sorry for that.
Yeah.
All right, next game. The Loins taking on the Chargers in San Diego.
Ooh.
Who you got, Danger?
I really, really want to pick the Chargers here because I like what the Chargers do as a team, but I think the Lions win. I think Will Thompson is susceptible to a bad game, and I think the Lions have the kind of secondary that can force that out of him. And I think if it starts out bad, if Keyshawn can get to him, or get a couple picks early, or get a pick early, it'll spiral out and Lions will win. I think it's going to be a good game, but I think the Lions will take this one.
All right, Lions for Danger. Dean, who you got?
All right. The thing is, I don't know if it's as much Will Thompson is the issue at San Diego. I'd say it's the fact that he has literally like no weapons available whatsoever. He's got pretty much nothing there. They traded for Todd Sykes out of West Virginia, and I think he's their second wide receiver now. That's a 71. They've decided to put out there at number 2.
I wish he would look at me.
And it's just, I think he did okay in college, but it's just like there's nothing there, and Detroit is going to have a field day defensively shutting down the Chargers. I don't think it's a close one. I'd say 28-7 Detroit.
Neo, you there?
Neo's muted himself.
He left to go to the waterfall that was happening.
Yeah.
He looks like he's trying to talk. I can see the end of his face.
Yeah.
Put his hand over the camera, and he's still not making noise.
Oh.
You've muted yourself, Neo. Like, I see.
I feel like he knows he muted himself, but I don't know.
There's a little button. Like, see.
He can hear us, though. That's how. He doesn't know. Are we all muted? What's going on now?
No, I can hear you guys. I just can't hear Neo.
Yeah, no,
Technical difficulties.
It says Ian and then a little mute.
Yeah, I see it.
Microphone and then a line through it.
Maybe he just doesn't know he did that. I don't know.
The
He
button.
looked confused there in the corner for a second.
Well, let's see if he said anything in the shout box real quick.
All right, Sage, just do your talk and then Neo come back.
Yeah, sure thing. We got the Lions taking on the Chargers. I have the Lions winning it all this year because it is week 2, and it's not very inspiring to see what the Chargers front office has talent-wise to match up against the fearsome Loins defense. We got Andre Brooks, Keyshawn Thompson, freaking Ejax. It's there's so much rain right now in Tampa. This is ridiculous. Are they being hit by a hurricane?
God, I
Holy
hope
cow.
Possibly.
No.
There you go.
Oh man.
It's not pretty, gents. But in any case, I have Detroit taking this one. I think what we'll see is San Diego receivers get mugged. Scott Howard has a really good game, completely in vain, and Detroit wins by 2 scores.
Yeah, this won't be as bad a beatdown as the Vikings versus the Raiders, but I still think the Lions win by about 14 points, at least a 2-touchdown margin.
I think 14 to 27 final score.
14-27. Good call. Hey Neo, could you just mute yourself when you're not talking?
Push the talk.
When you are
Sorry.
Neo, when you are talking, it doesn't catch any of the rain, but when you're not talking, just the background noise drowns out everyone else. Appreciate it. It's good. You're good. Next game, Denver Broncos against the Green Bay Packers at Green Bay. Danger, who do you got?
Oh man, Broncos take it. Green Bay's not very good. I mean, there's nothing special that the Broncos do, and there's nothing special in particular that Green Bay's really bad at. These are both teams that just across the board are pretty consistent, and Denver's consistently better, and Green Bay's consistently worse. I really think both these teams, across the board, are very well built. Just they didn't do a very great job of it at Green Bay. I think Green Bay's gonna be good 3 years from now, but right now Denver's better.
All right, so that's one for Denver. Dean, who do you got?
I'm going to say Green Bay's not very good. They had a pretty good showing week 1 out the gate. It depends on which Jason Johnson shows up. I'm still going to take Denver because they looked really, really good week 1, if I'm not mistaken. I think they blew out their opponent. And with their defense and how it's been going on in Denver, I think Bingo's right in the ship, and along with the screen-o, and it's going to be a good win for Denver on the road.
All right, so Denver. Neo, who do you got?
So this comes down to coaching for me. Bingo is the best coach in the league, and I think he wins this one. Just straight up because of that.
That's 3 for Denver. I'm going to go with the upset. I'm going to Green Bay Packers.
Ooh, intrigue.
As good as Denver's secondary looked last week, that was against probably the worst secondary in the nation with the San Diego Chargers.
Oh, yeah.
Now they're going up against Nobolini and Tom Grant and a banged-up Bernard Taylor, but still Bernard Taylor. Denver's corners are Reggie Griffin, 5'9", 163, Patrick Mitchell, and in the gray, the slimmest Reaper, Corbin, holding up the back. Nobolini should have his way with Griffin. Tom Grant likely will have his way against Mitchell. As good as Corbin is, he can't be everywhere at once. I think this is another one where the Packers' strengths match up against Denver's weakness.
I can see that.
Yeah, so I'll go with the upset, but it'll be close.
I want to see how.
I will point out on that end. Bingo lost to Christian Skaggs, a grand total of 1 head coach of the Saints. He is very skilled at scheming against pass games. I wouldn't put it past him to do very well, surprisingly well, against a lot of strong passing games this year.
It's true as well. Danger, you got something?
I'm interested to see how Baron Anthony does. Because Denver has a good offensive line, but I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think their tackles are as good as the rest of their line. Especially they're trying with Zach Koff as center. I'm interested to see how Baron Anthony does. If he can get pressure on Warner, I think he can make it hard on him. I still see Denver winning this game, but he could definitely make it really interesting. I think he's the best piece on their defense as far as that is.
All right, so that was 3 for Denver, 1 for the Packers. I think that's only the second one where we haven't been unanimous on after the Jets and Colts. Next up, we have Kansas City Chiefs, Thomas Wheeler taking on Norris Brookshire and the Chicago Bears. Up to the top with Danger. Who do you got?
I think the Bears win this one. The Bears or a team that win games, and you always look, they should never be as good as they are, except for that first year where they were garbage. Book still hasn't been written on Brookshire. I think he's a good quarterback, but a lot of people have doubts about him. But he's never been a quarterback who's going to lose the game. The Chiefs have a lot going for them with the running game. I still think Buchanan's a hell of a back. But ultimately, I think the Bears, again, are just a better team, and they're at home. I think that might make the difference. I think it's going to be a really close game. I think these two teams are really similar, but the Bears being at home is going to make the difference. Wheeler's going to have a good game. I see like 300 yards, three touchdowns for him, one interception. But I think the Bears come out on top. I'll say 27-33 Bears.
That's a Bears pick for Danger. Dean, who do you got?
I'm going to go with – this is really tough. The Bears are just a tough team to predict winning. I feel like every week you think they're going to lose, and then they just manage a victory out of it anyways. That's just kind of the coach I think Darman might be. And with the Chiefs, they're also kind of an unpredictable team. You never really know how they're going to show up. It's usually not that great, though. No offense to them. It just hasn't been, great for them. I'm going to go with the Bears just because I think the Darman magic prevails.
That's 2 for the Bears. Neo, who's you got?
This one's really weird. I kind of could go either way on this one. It's so close. I was thinking, like a minute ago, I was thinking of calling it like the Bears by 1 point. I'll take the Chiefs by a field.
Okay, so that's 2 for the Bears, 1 for the Chiefs. I'm going to go with the Bears myself. Ivory Hull is very, very good. And I think as good as Thomas Wheeler is, he just doesn't have the targets to take on Ivory Hull. Hines Mertens, he's all right. He's always been just all right. He's had a few good games, but his problem is consistency. Harry Whiteside, still in development. He's a monster, freaking size, 6'5", but outside of that, I don't think Wheeler has the targets. Plus, they have a very unproven coach in Vol Magnet. Haven't really seen him do much outside of turn Prophet Moffitt into a Heisman contender. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, but I'll take the Bears. Next up is the Los Angeles Rams at New Orleans Saints. Let's go with Danger.
I'm gonna go with the upset on here. I'm taking the Saints for this one. Probably not the best pick, but I don't really trust the Rams that much. They have a great ability with Peck and Darrell Murphy is a great quarterback. I think he was MVP last year. Excellent offense. They don't really have a running game. I think that Styles is going to get eaten up alive, sadly, even though he's not the number 1 quarterback right now, I'm pretty sure. I really don't know how. I haven't seen that recently. I know Neil was talking about it. But ultimately, I think the Saints are going to be able to pull this one out. I think they have I don't know if they have a better team, but I think they have the ability to do this. Plus, again, they're at home. I think that might make the difference. It's a bit of an upset pick, but I'm going with the Saints here.
All right, that's 1 for the Saints. Dean, who's you got?
It's Saints-Rams, right?
Yes.
I'm going with the Rams. I don't think the Saints have found their feng shui, I suppose is the phrase, yet. I just don't think they're gelling quite right. Devy's been mediocre lately. He had a rough season last year. He didn't find his footing week 1. I don't think he finds it against the Rams. I think Darrell Murphy tears up the not-so-great New Orleans secondary, too. I can't think of a single person out there for them. Sorry. I'm sure Neo can correct me here in a second. But, yeah, I'm going to go with the Rams.
All right, 1 for Rams, 1 for the Saints. Neo, who's you got?
So the Rams have 2 depth charts listed. One of them has Jerry Jeremy Henry as their starting quarterback, and if that's the one that they go with for the game, then yeah, dangerous. Otherwise, the question is not whether or not the Saints will win. The question is, what's the over or under on how many yards Daryl Murphy is going to throw for? I'm not gonna lie, Danger. I'm going with the Rams big.
Oh,
I understand.
It should be
call the
Daryl Murphy depth chart too, because Smoking Cricket's the coach now.
yeah, Vito stopped being the coach. He resigned a few weeks ago. I'm sure someone can go back and change that. I'm going to go with the Rams myself. Sean Jenkins is out for the Saints. He's probably their best offensive player, better than Devereaux even.
Probably? Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Flash Jenkins is just too good. And then Walt Peck going up against good old Aaron Styles. It's going to hurt.
Yeah, that's going to be a pain.
Derek Schwartz, Alama Bonta. The Rams just have a really good lineup of targets for Murphy to peg. Defensively, they
like 35 to 20, maybe.
yeah. Well, Sterling Brown could cause the Rams some problems, but at the same time, Anthony Beltran's a very good defensive tackle. Jim Bendros is a pretty good inside linebacker.
Because their run defense last year was really solid early on. I remember. I don't know if it stayed that way. Because I remember like the first couple of weeks they just ate alive the running backs.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go with the Rams. It won't be a blowout, I don't think. It might be by a touchdown or 10 points. But it should be pretty solid. Looks like we've got 7 minutes for the next slate of games. Let's knock this out. Baltimore Ravens at Philadelphia Eagles tonight. Danger, who's you got?
He's muted. Danger, you're muted.
Danger, you muted yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Am I coming through, or is it
No, sorry.
still?
No, everyone's fine now. Yeah,
I'm
everyone's
hoping
good.
the Eagles win.
Okay, cool.
I think Alan Taylor has the ability to win it, of course. I think across the board, sadly, the Ravens are a better team. But Alan Taylor is such a playmaking ability. I don't think the Ravens really have much that can deal with that except for Tyrone Jones. And he can't do it all and stop Alan Taylor by himself. But if there anyone in the NFL that could, it would be him. But I think they're going to struggle, and Alan Taylor's going to have a big game and end up winning it for the Ravens. Matthew Davis is going to have like 3.5 sacks, but that's about it.
Well, Matthew
I think he misspoke and meant Tyrone Jones.
No, Matthew Davis is the only good player on the entire Baltimore Ravens team.
Wow. All right, so
The only decent player, only one more.
The champion of games earns his title once again.
Hey, Murph.
Homer's got the Eagles winning. Let's go with Dean. Who's he got?
I'd love to see the Eagles win, but I'm actually going to take the Ravens. I don't think the AFC North gets shut out today. I don't know why. My guts just tell me the Ravens win this one. And the hell is he doing? All right, but yeah. I think the Ravens take this one in a close battle. I don't like the Eagles that much defensively. I think they still have a lot of holes, and I think even though the Ravens aren't very good offensively, they'll be able to pull this one out, and their defense will hold up against Alan Taylor.
Okay, so we got a split decision now. We got one Eagle, one Ravens. Neo, who's you got?
Barring an injury to Alan Taylor, I'm going with Philadelphia. I don't think that Baltimore has enough on offense to get it done.
Right. I'm going to step in and go with the Ravens. I really like David Wells. Reggie Watkins, is he elite? That's the meme. He's not elite. But you can chuck the ball towards David 4.18 40-time Wells against DeAndre Hawkins, who I think last week had a fluke. He was just good for that one game and has been sort of poor since.
Wait, David Wells is going against DeAndre Hawkins. Can I
Yes.
can I take my pick back?
Uh,
No, go ahead.
so yeah, that's gonna be my choice. David Wells is gonna beat up on DeAndre Hawkins. Ravens will win by, let's say, like 4 points. It'll be like 24-20, something exciting. Last game before, 4 minutes. Great timing, everyone. Monday Night Football, San Francisco 49ers at Atlanta Falcons. Danger.
49ers. I'm sorry, Sage. 49ers win this. I love the 49ers as a team because I think that if they were in real life, they would be the team that everyone's a bandwagon fan of because they'd be incredibly exciting to watch. They have like ridiculous fast talent that puts on an awesome show with Lester running around and throwing it deep to Branch and JSD and all of them. And they're a really good team. Across the board, they have some pretty big weaknesses, but they're completely overpowered by star power. And I think their star power is bigger than anything that Atlanta really has. Except for, of course, Early Davis, but he's still really young. He'll have a good game, but he's not going to be enough for Atlanta to win this game. They still have too many holes.
All right, that's one for the 49ers. Dean, who's you got?
All right, I'm thinking that we get to see the AJJ of old, and we get to see him go gunslinger mode against the 49ers. I think it's going to be a shootout. And I think we get to see Jefferson try to exploit those young 49ers safeties. And I think the Falcons surprise some people and come out on top this week with AJJ throwing for over 350.
All right, we got one Saints, one Niners. Neo, who's you got?
All right. So if you take a look at the 49ers defense, they're starting 2 rookie safeties. They have Bashir Rodriguez back there, but their defensive line isn't that impressive. Their linebackers, they have Dalroy Smart, but the rest isn't that impressive. Atlanta on offense, everybody thinks A.J. Jefferson's gonna, go off, and I think he'll probably have a great game. But I think Akili Wallace is really going to be the key here for Atlanta, and I think they take this one to start off 2-0 for the first time in the Sage Bow era.
Oh, I'm going to go with the 49ers. They have a really, really good running offense, and we don't have an excellent run defense. I don't know how much I believe in A.J. Jefferson just yet. He had a really good week last week, but Bashir Rodriguez is on the other side. He's a pretty scary dude. Defensively, Todd Lester is going to be the key. If we can stop Todd Lester, we'll win the game. Troy McCray is good. I don't think I rate him as highly as some people do, but he's pretty good. I still think Todd Lester is the guy that makes them tick. It's his completions and his ability to scramble. That's what makes the 49ers such a good team on offense. Jarius Shaw-Dodd is hurt. He's a little bit banged up. That'll be pretty key because he'd likely go up against either Wilburn or rookie Darren Ruffin. So yeah, I'm going to go with 49ers. It'll be close though. And now we got...
I don't know. I could see this one getting ugly. If San Francisco loves to, go for the... If they... Duncan's probably too good of a coach to do this, but if they go, if they try to go balls to the wall and throw deep, I think Atlanta could easily make them pay. That secondary is
Yeah, I don't think
vicious.
they will, bro.
Yeah, but I
They
think
don't, though. RC Roan and Darius Jones are more than good enough to cause absolute hell.
I can't
think-
wait for Atlanta to play Washington. Because I don't know how Darius Jones is going to play both sides of the field.
You mean Arizona?
Arizona, yeah. Oh, whoever has Darius Jones.
Darius and Jarius.
Hey, games are up, so we should watch that.
All right, let's the traditional 1 minute reaction time, and then we'll go down the list.
All right, I will do.
Hey,
Oh, Wow.
Oh God, that game was awesome.
Wow.
Oh damn.
I was wrong.
Yeah. Oops.
I was right, fortunately.
I was big wrong. Wow. All right.
Oh my
Right there.
God.
That
Oh
was
my.
that was one of the best. That was one of the best games we've seen here.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Oh shit. Oh my word. Oh, how in the
Oh, I'm sorry.
Some of these games, holy crap.
Daryl fucking Murphy.
I fucking said.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. So
400 plus yards, 6 touchdowns.
All right, hold it
I
together,
did
guys.
say he would go over 4. I did say over 400 yards.
Hold it together. We'll start at the top. New York loses to the Indianapolis Colts 14-20. Eric Weggert's thumb problems comes back to haunt him with 2 interceptions and a fumble. Manny Fields fumbles up the middle. Aaron Shea's mostly held in check. Mama Don't Heard has an acceptable game.
Yeah, there's nothing like. It's really just weird. Like,
I don't know if I would call that acceptable, but sure.
4 times.
He didn't fumble, so I guess there's that.
The Jets turned it over 4 times. I really want to see where that last one happened. With a minute 38, Joey Green recovered a fumble. Part of me wants to know if it was like on the Indianapolis 5-yard line where they're coming in to win the game, because that would be really exciting.
Yeah.
It would have made that one of the best games of the year.
Yeah.
I really don't know that much information.
I mean, this is just another game where Weggert got beat up.
Yeah, we got beat up.
Yeah, we've seen this over and over again this week. Protect your quarterback, or you will lose, and hopefully he doesn't aggravate his hand injury. That would be my worry if I was a Jets fan.
Yeah. Not pretty.
All right, jumping onto the next one, which might be the greatest game of the entire season.
We said it was going to be a
46,
blowout. Holy
Minnesota 38. Holy crap.
Hey, everybody said it was a blowout, but me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
wow, Minnesota.
What
we
a
ran out of
freaking game.
I'll take pride in that. But yeah, we were too
David,
overreaction from week 1, I think. That's Minnesota put it together.
there's way too much going on with this game to really go over it all.
Yeah, it's a lot of shit that happened.
The highlight reel for this game was an hour long.
God.
Yeah, this is one of those games where, like, you can real life NFL Live, fucking explosion of lights for Chris Berman.
Yeah.
Just, like,
He'd be making all kind of weird, crazy noises.
This is what I wanted the 2014 Super Bowl to be.
Oh,
But you start off Nick Hall 3 touchdowns in the first quarter. Let me fucking say, Oakland's kicker being out was huge this game because they fucking missed 3 extra points. But Nick Hall starts going off. He's going fucking ham. And after that first quarter, he throws 3 touchdowns. Everyone thinks, God damn, all right, this is what we kind of expected. Like, they're going to blow him out.
Yeah.
And Minnesota comes back from the other side, and they managed to put up some points. There's another touchdown for Oakland in that second quarter, but Minnesota gets a couple touchdowns, or gets a 1 touchdown. Brian Vardell does something, get a couple field goals, and it's still a 10-point game. Now Minnesota comes back, or then fucking Oakland keeps going, gets another touchdown, gets 2 more touchdowns, and goes up 39-16. That's a 23-point lead. And again, we're like, this game's fucking over, but Chester Henson, you motherfucker, he's coming back. Chester Henson, touchdown. They get back down. Within 3 minutes, they get an interception, go back in. I don't know who James Finney is, but he comes back, gets another interception.
Yeah.
But Chester Henson gets back in. He goes in. I'm telling you, Minnesota's defense doesn't have anyone who's recognizable in their secondary. But
Yeah.
James
They
Finney
got
probably
out there
run the
and-
entire game. There's a tip ball or something. Mike tips it up in the air, doesn't catch it. James Finney comes down with it. So now 2 touchdowns in the last 3 minutes and 30 seconds of the third quarter means this is a 39-30 game. But Nick Hall comes back down the field, throws a touchdown. That would be the difference for that 20-yard touchdown, Nick Hall to Mike Triplett. And then David Pennington takes another interception, but they do miss a field goal because I don't know who Jim Brown is. He is awful.
He is awful.
There's one last burst. Brian Frodell throws to Muhammad Charles, gets the interception, gets the touchdown, gets the 2-point conversion, and they probably it doesn't even look like they even tried for a onside kick. They thought they could stop them, and their defense just wasn't there. They called through a few passes, game over. But I want to say third down efficiency was incredible this game. They were just going back and down the field.
Yeah.
They're 69 and 7-11 on their third down conversions.
This is just an awesome
game.
game.
Anybody except there were damn, there were nearly, let's see, we had 4 turnovers and we only had all right, so we 4 turnovers and 7 stops on third game.
Oh, here's news. James Finney is a defensive end, so he came streaming around the corner, tipped it up, grabbed it by himself.
The kid out of ball.
James Finney.
That's unreal.
We need corners when we have James Finney.
I would bet money
to pick it off. And
that there were more third down stops because of penalty than because of the defense in this game.
Yeah.
At Oakland, if you need another kicker, we have an 81 guy who's sitting on the bench, 7th round pick, and he's
All right. It looks like NFL Live has just turned into let's make a deal.
Yeah.
But again, what a game. What a freaking game.
That was great.
Oh,
yeah, definitely one of the better games we've not all, I mean, there weren't any actual lead changes. It might be the best game we've ever seen
There's
on the
one lead change.
Lead change at the
so
start.
there's one lead change in the first quarter, but I mean, other than that, that might be like the best game we've had with like that little of a lead change. That's absurd.
Yeah.
Hats off to those two offenses, and wow.
The defenses took a nap.
That really says a lot about me.
Yeah, back to the drawing board for some of these defenses.
Yeah.
Really. I was surprised Oakland's defense did that poorly. You'd think they would have done better, but I mean, yeah, it's just weird. I don't know.
Yeah, especially Gradishar.
We need to get you a Chris Berman whoop.
Yeah. There we go.
There
it is.
Because that excitement during that recap was incredible.
That was awesome.
The only problem with this is that he wasn't describing a Bills game, so he couldn't do the nobody circles the wagons.
Oh yeah.
Nobody
that would be perfect. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
God. The thing is this.
All right, next game, the Loins going to sunny San Diego and nearly beating themselves. Rob LeCount, 2 interceptions, but threw 3 touchdowns, and that defense just kept San Diego impotent.
Nobody wanted to win this game. I just think San Diego's better at losing.
Ooh. Truer words have not been said.
Yeah. Will Thompson with that awful completion percentage. I imagine there's like 50 drops in there somewhere. Not really that many, but I'd say at least 10.
Yeah, Scott Howard with 10 receptions. I mean, he did his part.
From the others.
So I'm gonna say this now. I was like 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. I was 6 for 6 today, including calling Scott Howard in game in an absolutely meaningless situation.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take some comfort in that because 10 catch for yards didn't do shit for San Diego trying to win the game.
Yeah.
There you go. There it is.
Yeah.
Outside of Howard, he was 10 of 34 with 102 yards passing.
That's
not great.
San Diego needs some receivers. They need some receivers bad.
Yeah, maybe Oliphant comes over to play 2 ways. He had a 55-yard return. He can run. Possibilities.
He's definitely elusive.
Yep. Next up, we have...
That's his third that he leads all rookie receivers in touchdowns, third in just 2 games. No big deal or anything.
Good old.
Mhm.
Next game, Denver versus Green Bay. Yeah, Gil Novacek throwing the ball away, literally throwing the ball at Denver players. Freaking Greg Corbin with a forced
Disregard where that
fumble.
guy played college
Greg
ball.
Corbin, the slimmest Reaper, forcing a fumble. Oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the first time we've ever had someone have, like, non-quarterback have 2 fumbles in a game? Because fumbles,
I don't know.
I remember,
It's not the first time.
it's not the first time, because fumbles are pretty rare. We don't see them as much as you'd think. And this again reinforces what I'm talking. Like I was talking about it in the shout box earlier. There have been a lot more fumbles when teams run 2 running back sets. That's just something I've noticed across the board. Last week, every single player who fumbled was the number 2 running back in a 2 running back set. Gil Novacek had 2 fumbles here as the number 2 running back in a 2 running back set. I'm not sure that really says that much, but he didn't have that many fumbles last year, and we don't see that many fumbles among people. I mean, I still think it's just probably a trend, but it's just something you can note.
Interesting, yeah. I've noticed the same.
Carolina Panthers coach coming on social media says, regardless who gets the ball knocked out by that twig, referring obviously to Greg Corbin, who has been likened to a twig before on Twitter. He's been photoshopped a literal twig or a small branch photoshopped into a Broncos and a Rams uniform before. It's happened.
Oh man, yeah, Darren Warner looked excellent.
The thing here is how about the John Grant had an amazing game last week. Pretty much didn't show up here. Catches, 29 yards.
Patrick Mitchell was against Tom Grant this week. Maybe that kid's got some spunk in him.
And who were they playing last week?
I'm telling you, man.
The Chargers.
Maybe they're
Telling you,
secondary.
Bingo is the best coach in the entire league.
Jazz Durant, though, I gotta say he had a good game.
Yeah. That's
I
all
like Jazz.
19 for 83 isn't great, but he also had 2 for 20 through the air and had a touchdown catch.
Yeah, he's been having solid. He's probably like the second best running back in this class, probably. I think.
I don't remember why people were so low on him. He was a Heisman.
I think it was his pro day.
Yeah, I didn't like his pro day.
I thought he was still gonna be fine because I
A
like.
lot of people didn't like his pro day. I think a lot of people had him as like the 3rd best back in the class.
I had him
after
as
Ricardo
4.
Reed.
Yeah, I had him as 4 after Reed and Bell.
That's not that far off. I know there were some people who.
Yeah,
had him as
I never really
behind,
liked Bell as much.
Yeah, I didn't like Bell.
I didn't like Bell either. Bell's
Jazz is playing
efficient,
well.
but-
He's still a rookie. He's got some more to grow into. He's not so well yet. Who's playing great for Jacksonville?
Mhm. Yeah, Sowell's excellent.
But Sowell was obviously on a different tier from every other running back.
Yeah, it was.
But
nice.
Jazz is definitely
Jazz Durant looking good. Probably closes the book on Gil Novacek ever getting a running back snap again.
I
barring
think
injury.
they may just. I think Green Bay may come after this game switch to a completely one-back system because one of the fumble recoveries was at the end, so it didn't make a huge difference. And then, actually, both of them were in the 4th quarter. And one of them led to a field goal, so it wasn't that huge. But I think that might close the book on Novacek coming in that much.
All right,
Give
Let's
those
move-
carries to Durant, who's playing better.
let's go ahead and move on to the Windy City Massacre. We had Kansas City going up to Chicago, and I mean, just handing them a beating. 40.
That might be the biggest surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Chicago had to turn on the blowout settings in this one.
Yeah, because they didn't look that bad stats-wise. Like Brookshire had an all-right game. Quincy Turner did pretty damn well besides the fumble, and then it's just garbage. Like the defense absolutely collapsed for Chicago. I think they're having some problems in that secondary outside.
I'd point
hold
fingers.
Hold on a second there. The first quarter, they were down.
Oh, yeah.
Before the game was even up, they were down 14. because of special teams and the offense.
That's
Yes.
true too.
It had some
Burns for
ridiculous.
KC took the opening kickoff, go Tigers, all the way back for a touchdown, and Nick Moss, stripped the ball
Yeah.
all the way back when the KC, had plays going on offense. So they got into kind of desperation mode immediately.
Yeah.
And Norris Brookshire was abysmal on third down. 0 for 10.
Yeah, that's.
You just can't do this at that level or at this
So
level.
let's say this way: you had Kansas City scoring with the opening kickoff on 101-yard kickoff return. They had a fumble for a touchdown, and then had an 82-yard punt return for a touchdown.
Gosh.
Mhm.
So to put this completely on Chicago's defense,
No.
when
Yeah, no.
I mean, like they weren't exactly great by any means.
Yeah.
Wheeler was 15 for 20, but they were put in a really terrible spot
Yeah, they were.
by their
They-
own offense.
And Nicholas Moss,
They probably.
you gotta say something about Nicholas Moss, just because he's a
The hat
rookie.
trick, man. The hat trick.
I remember sitting, I think in the 5th round, I was almost going to draft Nicholas Moss. I went with Mike Holsey out of Oregon, I think, because it was in the third round. It was a little early to take Moss. But he ended up going in the 6th, and first couple games have shown out, making a lot of teams regret letting him fall that far.
Mhm.
That spot.
That's true.
He's drafted 160. Where is it? 167th overall pick.
Wow.
Yeah, what a showing for that guy.
Another kind of thing. Another kind of thing to keep an eye out on is, Chicago is such an up and down team. They're really hard to pick.
Yeah.
As some of you guys mentioned before, part of that is just Quincy Turner. I mean, like, you never know when he's going to turn it on, when he's going to turn it off.
He's the
He looked
Joker.
like for a little while, he looked like he was, first he was bad, and then he picked it up for decent yards per carry. But you have to sort of spin the Quincy Turner wheel of destiny to see what's going to happen with Chicago, and you know what Quincy Turner is going to pop up when. And if Quincy Turner, makes mistakes,
6 yards per carry today.
it's really kind of a lot to ask for Chicago to make up for that in the passing game.
But QT had a good game. He had like 6 yards per carry. That wasn't the issue. The issue was literally.
Well, he also fumbled and
He did also
and
fumble.
let
That
Nicholas
was
Moss take it
definitely
all the way back.
Yeah, that was definitely costly.
That's
but
the thing
I wouldn't
is
put
you
the
can
loss on
only
his
give him 15 carries because I think if you give him more carries when he's going 15 carries 9 yards, that's a positive for you. But he's part of the problem when he's the reason you're down 14-0.
That's true.
Before a minute of game time has gone by. So he's his own carries, not only because you might get benched if you turn the ball over, but because your team's down now, multiple scores, you've got to throw to get things together. And Chicago wasn't healed that much. I mean, to throw it as often as they needed to come back from that kind of deficit, you'd think Norris Brookshire would have more than 22 passes, but a lot of it was just special teams, screw up on offense, a blown coverage here or there, I mean, it's just a lot of mistakes by Chicago in this game.
Yeah, and they didn't
Notice
shut down
4 for
anyone.
10 on third down.
They didn't
They
shut down
did not
anyone.
convert a single third down. That offense absolutely let them down.
But Buchanan also had a good game. Wheeler had a great game. McCready had a great game, even though that's like the backups. The backups, Ricky Edwards had a good game. They all had like over 5 yards per carry or over like 100 passer rating probably off the top of my head. Like, they didn't stop anyone. They didn't play well on offense. They didn't play well on defense. They didn't play well on special teams. They got demolished by Kansas City. And I think their offense, despite not converting third down, was kind of the bright spot because at least Brookshire and Quincy Turner put up decent stats and gains. Also,
That's 70-yard bomb, though.
That's 70 yard. Yeah, that 70 yard
Oh
just
yeah, that's true
busted
too.
the
Yeah, without
coverage.
that Brookshire is
That
garbage.
that Brookshire looked a lot better than he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, think about it. Without that, he is,
13 for
41 for
Yeah.
90
13
yards.
passes for 90 yards.
So maybe Teddy Buckler isn't a buck.
Garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, it just goes to show you. Maybe you should give players more than like a season. You
Before
know,
you make flash judgments.
Yeah.
Last game, LA at New Orleans.
I feel bad for picking New Orleans.
I mean, I told you should have. I told you this was going to happen.
Yeah.
I straight up said it.
mean,
Do you have Aaron Styles #1 right now?
I
Styles was
honestly
at
don't even
number one.
remember.
Don't put him down.
We
I think that might
talked
hurt
about we talked about moving him down, but I think they moved it back up to check out how he would do against Styles. And my opinion was Walt doesn't give a shit about
Well, I
Styles,
don't know, but
let alone Aaron. So
It's
yeah.
write it out. Give him the experience. Write it out.
No,
honestly, talking about
no, we're moving him down. He's gonna be the slot or the number 2 at the high.
Deshaun Watts 2.0. What's happening? You're gonna trade him next year.
With trading Aaron Styles.
John
If he's a bust, we're gonna ride. We're gonna tire a contract out before we determine that or not. So we'll give him time to develop. He was a 4 or 5 out of 5, so I'm not surprised that he's struggling early. It is what it is.
New Orleans
Again,
had
our secondary's garbage. I've never expected to be that great, and yeah, this is pretty much what I expected. To be honest with you, I mean this is what I was expecting, literally.
It looked like Walt Peck and Derek Schwartz were playing Legolas and Gimli at the Battle of Minas Tirith, just trying to see who could get more yards and more touchdowns.
We've got a rookie free safety out there. We've got a rookie corner out there, and the rest of our secondary isn't very good. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's just at least Devereaux was better, right?
Expect to see that sort of stat line. I expect to see that sort of stat line on opposing quarterbacks for a great portion of the year until we kind of, get things going. So I'm not looking forward to playing Carolina. That's why.
Oh man. Yeah, that's just unfortunate for Styles that his second game as a professional is against Daryl Murphy and Walt Peck.
Yeah, it's just brutal.
Not much you can do about scheduling, but poor kid, he'll turn it around. I have faith.
Those wide receiver numbers are like #1 for any other team for the Rams. Like pretty much like you could put Banto, Williamson, Schwartz, any of those for another team. That's like the #1 receiver for the day. So insane what Daryl Murphy does.
Oh god.
Skaggs are on another level.
That's the reason he was MVP last year.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll call it. So, thanks for listening, everyone. NFL Live Week 2. Special thanks to Danger, Neo, and Dean for coming on with me. Don't know when I'll be available for another one. Someone else can be free to host. I don't really mind. Just let me know beforehand. Yeah, awesome slate games. Good luck to everyone in Sunday night and Monday night. We'll call it. See you.